Greetings everyone, this is Enraged Eggplant and welcome to Dungeons and GURPS. In this video I will tell you how to make a D&D warmage in GURPS. The warmage class was introduced in Complete Arcana in D&D 3.5. This class represented an arcane spellcaster that specialized in war magic, mostly blasting and protection. The spell selection was very limited, and the only class features were sudden metamagic. The warmage could apply certain metamagic feats for free several times per day. In D&D, this was somewhat of a trap choice, as you could play the very same concept much better by just playing a wizard or a sorcerer. How do I make them feel different in GURPS? At first, I thought that this is just a specialized wizard, but then I've read the class description more closely and found out that they do not have spellbooks. Should they be more like sorcerers then? Well, yes and no. Here's what I came up with. First, war mages have access to a limited selection of spells, lacking the ability to improvise. They do not purchase the sorcerer's empowerment advantage, but take all their spells as alternative abilities. The war mage can only take damaging and protective spells, such as Fireball, Stone Missile, Rain of Acid, Resist Fire, Mass Resist Cold, etc. Each spell has a hard skill attached to it, that's using the skills for everyone rules from page 162 of GURPS powers. This is accomplished by adding the requires IQ roll minus 10% limitation to all spells that do not require an IQ roll by default, or changing the existing casting roll to IQ with the based on IQ own roll plus 20% enhancement, if that is necessary of course. Power techniques that add enhancements or remove limitations, a la GURPS Psionic Powers, are available to war mages. Alternative rituals from GURPS Thaumatology Sorcery page 7 are in effect. Optionally, the GM may allow the additional rituals from Super Sorcery. That's an article from Pyramid 3 105 on a case-by-case basis. Note that this is a permanent change to how your character works magic. However, experience has shown that it can be a balancing for spellcasters to invoke alternative rituals to cast repeated spells with no FP cost in a fight. Because of that, the following rule is in effect. Every war mage spell with no FP cost takes the longer of normal casting time or 1d plus 1 divided by 2 seconds to cast rounded up. Roll for this when beginning to cast. If you do not like the result, you can abort, wasting your action for this turn. In most non-combat situations, you can simply ignore this limitation. This house rule was invented by Jason Levine, and I will link his original post in the description. War mages do not need to study spellbooks, but they do need to prepare the spells each day by spending time to call up the knowledge from their unconscious minds. This calls for 1d minutes of quiet chanting and meditation per spell once per day, and adds accessibility requires simple ritual minus 5% to the sorcery power modifier, resulting in war mage minus 20%. Trading fatigue for skill is available, and warmage spellcasting is subject to repeated attempts. When rolling a critical failure on a casting roll, use the critical spell failure table. And that's it! With this very simple framework, I did everything the warmage can do, including sudden metamagic via power techniques for spells. Of course, these techniques should be curated by the GM, because some things might get unbalanced. This was one of my least favorite D&D classes, but after adapting it to GURPS, I can see the appeal of it. There is a surprising amount of depth behind this simplicity. In addition, I created a 150-point warmage occupational template that might be useful for you. I will link it in the description. If you take a look at it, you will see that it is very different from the wizard. The warmage has many militaristic traits and skills, so he could be an officer or a soldier, instead of a scholar or a researcher. When making a war mage, try to think about why and where he became a war mage. Such traits as claim to hospitality for your war mage academy, military rank, duty, or soldier's code of honor can add a lot of flavor to your character. Certain warmage academies might train specialized warmages, so even your spell selection might enhance the connection your character has to the game world. Think about the role your character plays in the army. You might want to take such skills as armory and soldier if your character was a soldier, strategy, intelligence analysis, and leadership if your character is a commander, or even artillery and seamanship if your character is a warmage specializing in ship-to-ship combat. If you want some inspiration, consider reading the Society of the Siege Sorcerers article from Pyramid 3-4. And that's it for this video. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.